So you've decided to buy a motorhome or an RV. What are your choices? In this video, I'll show you a few options and a few things to consider. As I call it, ABCs of motorhomes. Today's motorhomes comes basically in three flavors, ABCs, but I call it BCA. Ease of remember, B as a baby, C as a child, A as an adult. Class B are smallest ones. They're generally built on SUV or pickup truck chassis. They are what you could visualize as a conversion van on steroids. Back in the 80s, conversion vans were really popular, but so the whole RV industry evolved around expanding it and making it a motorhome. So what are some great things about Class B? Well, parking. You don't have to worry about parking. Most of your HOA or streets or cities or towns will allow you to park your vehicle in front of your house or wherever you would park your car, because it is mostly treated as same as cars. So the biggest positive is space. But that's also the biggest negative, because it is the smallest, so you're sacrificing a lot, and what are you getting? All motorhomes, basically like all cars, pretty much do the same thing. They get you from point A to point B with different comfort or other features, but they're basically all doing the same thing. So Class B is going to have a similar features as Class C and A. Your water tank will be smaller, maybe 20 to 40 gallons. You're still going to have a little shower. That shower will be limited to about 6 gallons, but it's possible. I own a couple of Class Bs before, and yes, you can shower with 6 gallons of water. There's a little trick to it, but you learn. There's a small stove, small refrigerator. Your bench usually converts to a bed, and it is good for about two people, a couple, and a small child, a baby, infant type of thing. There's enough room for that, but there's not a lot of space to put anything. The underneath or basement storage is almost minimal. And usually Class Bs do not have, they're not self-sufficient. They don't have a generator. Again, there are exceptions to that too, but generally there is no generator on board, so you have to be plugged in somewhere to run air conditioner, if you have one mounted on the roof, and they most do. So Class B would be mainly used for 2 long weekends, maybe up to 2 to 3 week trips, where you can you have a place to stay, a place to cook, and use bathroom and whatnot, but not to the extent that you can be self-sufficient and dry camp for a long period of time. Except there are a few exceptions. There are some nomads out there who will take these vehicles off-road on gravel and dirt, and they can live by themselves for a few days or a couple of weeks. But that's not for general public. So the biggest negatives are its size. They're small, not a lot of storage, and pricey. Especially now during COVID, you can spend as much as on the Class B as you can spend on a new Class C or Class A. So the price has been, COVID has messed up the pricing model. So the generally you could pick up one of those newer ones for 60, 70,000. Now it's easy to spend 140. So consider that. So let's consider Class C. Class C is a mid-range. Their length varies inside anywhere from 20 up to about 35 feet in length. Most of them nowadays will have a slide outs as well, 1, 2, and possibly even more. When it comes to power, they're generally on a self-developed chassis by the manufacturer, so they're a little bit too big for any van or truck type of chassis, so they have their own chassis. The engines come in diesel and gas flavor, as all three categories do nowadays, thanks to Mercedes and Volvo and some others. Diesel has been adopted, so to speak, from Europe, even though we don't have as many choices as Europeans do when it comes to diesel, because just about all of their motorhomes are powered by diesel. That makes sense, but that's another video. But so you do have a choice of a diesel or gas. And with the extra slide outs, they do have quite a bit of room. So that's the big positive. The storage and everything kind of grows proportionally, from storage tanks to your plain storage for your food and whatnot applies to your water tanks are bigger, your refrigerator is bigger, your bed are bigger, and Class C generally will accommodate to most people, probably around 6. They have several different variations for bedding and expanding. So Class C are good for a couple who are looking for second semi-home. You can survive in it probably 2 to 3 months with the tight squeeze, but they're not meant for your full-time living or anything like that. But so the other negative is parking. Your subdivision, your HOA your town may not allow you to park this on the street or in front of your house, so you have to check that before you set out to buy a Class C. But again, the price range is the same as almost B class. They're in that 80 to 150,000 price point. So again, COVID has screwed up all this pricing model, so it's varies. It's a supply demand, and has been a shortage. RV industry has been hit tremendously with supply issues, and so backlogs and everything else. So therefore, the prices have gone up accordingly. Another negative with the Class C is the maintenance. You're no longer not going to your regular garage. You might have to be looking more into RV specialized type of dealer service center, because there are some components that a regular garage don't know anything about it. Finally, there's a Class A, and they range anywhere from 30 to 45 feet in length. And the price-wise, you can buy a new Class A from 80 to 100,000 up to a 2 million plus, like a new Prevo or Newell. Coaches will cost you $1.5 million to. They're all specialized. So again, you can get from point A to point B with just the different needs, different ideas, desires, or budget. So there's a fine spot buying a new versus used. You need to understand that motorhomes, RV, recreational vehicles in general have a highest markup on a dealer lot. So when you look at the trailer or when you look at the motorhome on the dealer lot, the average markup on that unit is 40%. So even when you get a great deal and they gave you 20% off at was an RV show or something, they're still making 20%. But the bad news is when you take that, even when you get a best of deals, when you take that RV home, you have just lost probably 40% of what you paid for. So if you paid $300 for it, you are already lost almost $100,000. So that's the bad news. And then of course depreciation is another hit you take. The RVs generally depreciate between 10 to 15% a year, which translates easily into $1,000 to $2,000 a month. So plan accordingly. But again, RV motorhomes are not an investment. They're meant for recreation. They're meant for fun. And don't look at it as an investment, because it's not. It's a sinkhole. Just like people with the boats. If you talk to people that have boats, they'll tell you the same thing. It's a sinkhole, but again, it's not an investment. So if it works for you, if it fits your lifestyle, this is something you want to do, you love to travel, then this is for you. So some of the main features of a Class A, again, they are mostly diesel. The bigger they are, chances are they're going to be a diesel pusher, because diesel is more economical in a sense, and you're going to spend a lot of time running the engine, idling, and gas engines are not very good for that. So the shorter the length, chances are it's going to be a gas. So anything from 30 to 37, 38 feet length, it's going to be a gas powered. More than 38, 39 feet long, it's going to be a diesel. And for me, diesel is always a better choice. So again, you're going to get bigger tanks, bigger storage. Your fuel tank is going to be big. The fuel tanks can go as high as 200 gallons. Your water tanks will go anywhere between 100 and 150 gallons. Your storage, your gray and black water can be an average 70 or so gallon. Your propane, if you have a cooking stove or a refrigerator or a heating system that runs the propane, everything is going to be bigger. You're going to have slide outs. All motorhomes just about nowadays, they have a slide outs 1, 2, 3 up to 4. So slide outs have done a lot. They have revolutionized and they added a new dimension to usefulness of a motorhomes. The first one just came out barely, I believe it was 97. So in 20 some years, motorhomes have come a long way and improvements have been tremendous. But then again, so is the cost. So everything is larger. It's meant for your Class A's are generally meant for multi-month use. A lot of full-timers, of course, are using them for either vacation in Florida or Arizona, plug in somewhere for months at a time and then just gonna stay or travel or they're built for boondocking, which is basically sitting in the desert and just being self-sufficient, meaning that you have enough power. There are systems that generate electricity. You can run things off your batteries, but that's a separate video. But generally, they're meant for long travels or long stays in the RV when you are fully self-sufficient. Class A gives a meaning to self-sufficient, self-sustainable. So some other negatives when it comes to Class A. Everything is expensive, from purchase to storage. If you don't have a place to store it yourself, this is one of those things you're not going to be able to park in front of most houses, especially if you live in the HOA community. Nobody will allow you to spend more than 24, 48 hours parked in front of your house, so you have to consider the cost. The storage can be very expensive, from $100 just to park it on the open gravel lot to $500 plus if you are lucky to find an indoor storage. Your maintenance costs are going to be high because this is no longer something you take to your mechanic. You're going to be taking your coach to either places like a Camping World or someone that specializes in recreational vehicles. And when it comes to engine, you're looking at the truck service areas. And again, the costs are just they can go through the roof easily because one tire is going to cost you $1,000. So it just go from there. So just an example, a fuel oil change in I have a Class A, I have a 45-foot country coach. My engine takes between 42 to 49 quarts of oil. So multiply that by 10 and you see what it costs to change oils. But anyway, so the cost and maintenance are very expensive. But again, a reminder, this is not an investment. This is something you like to do. It's meant for travel or live in the full time. So you do get those benefits. But again, the costs are rather high. So consider the storage. Are you taking it on the road immediately? And where are you going to keep it? Because you can't keep it at home, most likely. Another thing to consider between buying these three types of motorhome, A, B, or C, not every campground we're going to be able to accommodate you if you have a 45-foot motorhome. A lot of national parks, just about all of them, are limited at 40. So if you have a 45-footer, chances are you're not going to be able to drive in any national park campgrounds because they're kind of outdated. Let's say back in when most national parks were built, the motorhomes were kind of squatty little thing, 20, 25, 30 feet long at most. So 40 foot long was huge in 1950s, but today it's not. So consider that. High maintenance costs, like I said, your fuel mileage, you're getting 6 miles a gallon, maybe, on a good tailwind. If you are pulling the trailer, you can even be less than that. So Class A can be very expensive. Again, this is just a heads up. I want to thank all of you who subscribe to my channel, and ask the rest of you if you find anything beneficial, if you like to follow us. This channel is about the RV and RV travel and all that goes with it, the preparation and good and the bad of it. So thanks again. Thanks for watching. So which motorhome should you buy? Well, there are two things to consider. Obviously, budget is always one element, but you can buy, if you want to spend $100,000, you can buy all three of these, or either one of these three, new or old, but it really boils down to what do you want to use it for? Is this a kind of weekend thing? Is this something that you might want to go for a couple of weeks, take a trip to Yellowstone or Grand Canyon or Smoky Mountains or whatever? You might do fine with Class B. Class B can be your backup, could be your second car. Because you can park it just about anywhere. You can park it on the street. It will fit anywhere, so there's no issue with that. It really depends what you want going to do with it. Outside the budget, like I said, with COVID nowadays, the prices have been kind of skewed. It's just kind of weird. It's a supply and demand, so expect to pay 20-25% more than you normally would because of COVID and supply issues. But ultimately, it will depend on what are you going to use it for. Full disclosure: I have owned the Class B in the past. Loved it. Our daughter was a little baby, so it was easy to just put her anywhere. You can put them on the floor, just on a comfortable blanket or whatnot. But it gets pretty tight. I would not recommend for more than 2 people. And I have owned the Class A before. It was a gas version. It was a 31-foot. Southwind back in the 90s. Learned the lessons about the gas. And now I own Class A 45-foot Country Coach Affinity, of which I'll include a couple of videos below to check it out what that is and what we are getting into. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And I thank all of you who are already subscribers, and thank you for following us. We're going to be with this for the next weeks, months, and years, planning to getting on the road full time. Just kind of waiting for the vaccine to kick in and get spread around, so we'll feel more comfortable getting out, because a lot of things are still closed. So again, thanks for watching.